Everybody, how are you? Nice to see you all. You're starting off your morning with a low ABV coffee and tonic with a little bourbon and vodka cream. So enjoy.
We figured we'd start you off a little bit mellow.
Mellow.
No tequila shots. All right, so welcome to Profit with Precision. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this morning with us. This session is about setting yourself up for monetary success as a bar manager, beverage director, business owner, led by 3 industry-leading talents based in Singapore, Montreal, and right here in New Orleans.
And we're your hosts for today, Caitlin and Kristine. For those that don't know us, my name is Caitlin Wilkes. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the co-founder of the Atacomon Project. I'm actually based in Edinburgh, Scotland, but from Toronto, Canada. I'm a consultant in my real day job, and this year I was lucky enough to be named one of 100 most influential in the drinks industry. Thank you.
And I am Kristine Bocchino. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, now living in northern Italy. I have been a bar and restaurant owner, beverage director for 4 seasons, pastry chef, many other things over my career. Now consulting and writing, and also the co-founder of the Atacomon Project. And before we introduce our incredible speakers for the day, a quick bit about the Atacomon Project and what prompted us to create this global initiative, in effect bringing us all together here today.
So the Atacomon Project is a dedicated digital space and global database of women and non-binary people in hospitality. Year after year, Kristine and I noticed a real lack of diversity and clear inequity in the percentage of women and non-binary people who are invited to guest speak, guest bartend, judge competitions, and so on. We would often see the same faces sometimes over and over again in these educational roles.
And with there being so many incredibly knowledgeable and talented people in our hospitality communities, we set out to encourage meaningful change and also offer a solution, which is probably the most important part. We decided to provide this platform which would highlight the talent and expertise of more women and non-binary professionals. Is this because we hate men? Absolutely not. No. It's because men are already well represented in many facets of the industry, and we figured why not even the playing field a little bit.
So part 1 of our initiative begins online. In addition to educational tools, links to female author-owned books, signposting to other support organizations, and growing our editorial section of the website, our key feature is a global database of talent. This is to be used for brands, bars, businesses, and bar shows alike who are looking for some fresh faces to put together a diverse and well-rounded activation.
And the database is searchable by city, by region, and area of expertise. Currently featured on the database are about 150 people based in 17 different countries, and it'll continue to grow exponentially year over year.
The other part of our global advocacy program, if you will, is everything we do in person. We like to get a little bit more hands-on with educational and inspirational seminars, workshop, panel discussions, and even bar takeovers. In larger markets at global bar shows, sometimes, or in smaller markets, we like to do workshops using the database ourselves. We sort of curate the smaller workshops in different regions based on what that community needs.
And our aim with these events is twofold: to elevate the profiles and voices of our speakers who are pushing the boundaries in their own regions by giving them a more global platform to share their knowledge and expand their networks. And second, to help educate and give confidence to the next generation. Having said that, let's take a really quick look at where the Atacomon Project has been and where we're going. We believe in leading by example, and as we touched on a little bit earlier, our events are where we actually use the database ourselves, pulling talent to co-host our events around the world. As you can see, in 2024, with incredible brand support, we activated in 13 cities, collaborating with over 40 women and non-binary bar and beverage talents.
And some of our goals for 2025 are quite clear. We want to expand our reach with activations in additional regions and our digital education series. We want to add another 200 profiles onto the website. If anyone has some free time to help us, that'd be really great. And expand our digital support offerings with enhanced tools and resources.
With these goals in mind, we're on target to activate in 15 or more cities this year. In Q1 and 2, We worked with 22 of our database listees, and Q3 is shaping up to be incredible, as just this month we are collaborating with 9, targeting a goal of more than 50 for the year.
So yes, this is a very big project with lofty goals, but Kristine and I are up for the challenge, and we're dedicated to leaving our industry a little bit better than when we found it. So thank you very much for being here and being part of our journey today. Moving back to why we're actually here, I would like to introduce our esteemed speakers for this morning. Joining us from Singapore, we have Celia, Schoonraad. All the way from New Orleans, where we are, Erika Flowers, and from my favorite place in the world, Montreal, Canada, Kate Boushel. Our session is going to work a little bit differently today. This might feel like it's being set up like a panel, but each speaker is going to take about 14 minutes to go through their topic. We'll save some time for questions at the end.
All right, so enough of that. Once again, Profit with Precision, a session about setting yourself up for monetary success as a bar manager, beverage director, or business owner. We hope that today will offer some food for thought as you all navigate through your careers, and that you're able to learn a bit from our journeys and take away some inspiration. So let's get started. Celia.
Me. No pressure. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of Tales. How's everyone feeling? There it is. All right. Well, my name's Celia Schoonraad. I live in Singapore, and I've been based there for 8 years, but I have lived and worked in 9 countries, and I've worked in a lot of bars. So I hold a master's in food science. I own a design firm based out of Singapore and a few of my own venues. And in the last 8 years, we have contributed to, designed, or built, or fixed over 55 venues around the world. There's a lot of things that we see repeatedly being done wrong because people are allowing architects and interior designers to design their bars. Please never do that. Get your bartenders to design your bars because they know best. So today we're going to cut through a lot of the fluff and talk about bar design that actually performs. And I am in a unique position in that a lot of my work sits at the intersection of aesthetics, performance, and commercial viability. So, there you go. So, yeah, design for flow, not for show. So I think you walk into a beautiful bar and the first thing that you ever notice is the wrapping, like how beautiful it looks. And that's fantastic and it's great, but it's not the practical elements about what's actually going to make your bar successful. So first and foremost, you have to design your bar specifically for the people who are going to work in it. Design your bar for bartenders. I personally think that if you are wanting to open your own venue or you're wanting to design a bar, go work as many different bars as you can. If you can do a guest shift or a stage or even a bar back in someone else's bar, do that as many times as possible. That's the easiest way to figure out really quickly what works and what doesn't. Some of the most beautiful bars in the world, and a lot of those bars on the 50 best list, they're not really fun to work behind because they've been designed for aesthetics and not for practicality. So my biggest piece of advice for anyone ever is go call your friends, call everyone you know, come to Tales, make some connections, network a bit, and then go do some guest shifts all over the world, all over your city, all over your country, just to be able to experience different bar setups and layouts. It's going to be the easiest way to experience what doesn't work. Sorry if I'm being repetitive, by the way. So performance and profitability, as I said, are not the enemies of aesthetics. You can have both, but your foundation needs to be really, really strong. And with a strong foundation, you can put whatever wrapping paper you want on it, and it'll set you up for success long term. So ergonomics as well. So think about so when we talk about hospitality and drinks and everything else, we obviously talk about sustainability and minimizing waste, but the one thing that people often forget is that movement is also a waste that we can and should minimize. You need to think about, like, if you're building a menu, everything should be within literally 1 step's reach of your most popular products. If you're a craft cocktail bar and you barely serve beers, those don't need to be incredibly accessible to you. Like, you need to build your bar for your product. Again, if you're a brew bar, you don't need to have a full cocktail station set up in front of you. You can maximize that space elsewhere. So yeah, the one-step rule is critical. It helps reduce fatigue, and it helps maximize your ticket times, right? So if every single cocktail that you make, you have to waste 30 seconds, 60 seconds getting a bottle from elsewhere, that accumulates over time to literally be hours over a week split between bartenders, which again, over the course of a year in terms of your profit, you're losing tens of thousands of dollars by something simple as having to move 30 seconds or 60 seconds longer and further away from where you are. I think if I can summarize everything that I'm going to say, it would be in one word, and that's intentionality. Like, you have to be incredibly intentional with how you design your bar, because if you don't, you're gonna have physical burnout, you're gonna have profitability loss, and it's just, you're actually gonna have higher staff turnover. Like, I think if you've ever worked in a bar that isn't designed well, it wears you down in a very different way. So being intentional with absolutely everything you do is incredibly important for long-term success. The other thing that's incredibly important to plan for. What?
Sorry, I'm like, yes.
We've also decided as a collective unit here that this is going to be like a daytime talk show. So please, like, my girls can interrupt and add. Like, this is what it's about.
I have opinions.
Please share them. Share your opinions. So space, like, and I'm talking about experience as well. Like, I design bars and I have my own venues, and I still fucked up some of the design by not overestimating how much storage we actually needed. Like, vertical storage is one of your best friends, and the higher you can go, like, obviously with safety and OSHA and all that taken into account, but vertical storage is so, so, so important. And like, I cannot stress this enough. You need to overestimate aggressively how much space you think you're going to need. Kate's going to also talk about aggressively overestimating how much money you're going to need, because you will. Add a zero to whatever you're thinking. But storage is incredibly important. Like,
Or two.
yeah. And I think if you're building a bar, please add. Go on.
Take this. We'll just put it there.
Like, if you're building a bar, aggressively overestimate how much space you're going to need. Like, I can't stress that enough. Building a bar, opening a bar, and then after the fact, realizing that you have to add stuff, like, it causes chaos. And again, speaking from experience, so please learn from my mistakes. Vertical storage, storage racks, boxes, hang it from the ceiling. Just the more the merrier. More is more. I did touch on this previously, but again, speed and profitability are hand in hand. If you can reduce your ticket times, you can make more drinks, you can make more money, right? And like, I understand that we are all incredibly passionate about what we do and this industry, but at the end of the day, we still need to run businesses and we still need to pay salaries and earn money. And again, like, the more we can sell, the better it is, right? So really think about how you can maximize every single element of your design with intention to sell more. And then the who. Again, to be repetitive, I think a lot of people look at who their target audience is going to be, but ultimately you need to design your bar for the people who are going to work in your bar. If you design your bar for your team, they're going to work well for you. Richard Branson has this quote that I actually really, really like, and it's, look after your staff, and your staff will look after your guests or your clients. So I think, number one, like, if you design your bar for your team, they're going to be happier. As a result, they're going to, like, want to work for you and work harder for you, and that will reflect in the way that they serve your guests. And the key takeaways, to be repetitive once more, really think about what you're doing, like, design with absolute intention, maximize as much space as you can, know who you're serving and why you're serving them. And yeah.
What are some of the most expensive changes that you've had to help bring to a space based on poor build out?
Stations, like full stations. Like, the amount of times we've had to rip out stations because the ice wells were 2 inches shallow and they're wanting to push out 150 cocktails an hour. Like, make your ice wells deeper than you think. And then the easy fixes, right? So here's a couple of really, really easy fixes. It's jet rinsers. And Daniel Nevsky, if no one knows him, please do follow him. He's fantastic. He actually posted it on his story, but there's this little attachment you can get for any faucet. It's $14 in Amazon. It's a tap on, tap off. These tiny, tiny, tiny little changes will have such a big impact. Making or improving your bar design doesn't have to be expensive, but there's tiny little tweaks that you can make that make everything more efficient, right? So again, it comes back to thinking about where you can shave off movement as much as humanly possible, and then implementing those changes smartly. So again, Kate's gonna talk a lot about budget, but if you have a limited budget, you have to be smart in how you use it. It doesn't need to be fancy, it just needs to be incredibly practical. So, good question, thank you for that. But yeah, your ice wells are probably one of the most important things, especially living in Asia. We deal with a lot of ambient, like air temperature being higher than normal, so we blow through ice really quickly. One of the things that you can control is your dilution, and for that, you have to have an extraordinary ice well. So focus on your ice well, things like jet rinsers, really small practical changes will have an incredibly huge impact on your design and your bar and your profitability and your output.
I'd probably also add, like, and this is, I don't know how to put this in a different way than I'm about to, but from experience, a lot of men-centric teams, in terms of management ownership, tend to make very fast decisions. Fast decision-making in build-out is the poorest decision often. It requires intentionality, like you said, right? Like thinking about that little tap rinser versus the cost of inputting pedals or like the knee one that you find often in kitchens, things like that, right? Like, are you gonna be a sloppy bar, which, you know, then maybe pedals aren't your best, most financially efficient decision because they'll get a bit more gunk and you're gonna have to like repair them often. What kind of dishwasher, you know, like all those things are gonna be so like super important in your build out decision making.
And harder to clean. Like think about the cleaning. The other, like also round your corners.
Take
Like
the
round your
time to think
corners,
about it.
teams. Like how many of us have injured ourselves? And I get bruises all the time from like sharp edges on speed wells. Like round your corners. It's these tiny little things that have such a huge impact. But yeah, the pedals, I hate the pedals. You cannot clean them. They're always going to be unhygienic. Like you're not going to get down there with a little toothbrush. So invest that money elsewhere. Buy the
Or are
$14
you?
thing on Amazon and do that instead. I mean, I would, but that's my OCD itching.
I mean, my team does.
That's because they're terrified of you.
Unfortunately. Aw, they love me.
Can I chime in on the? Hey, I just want to chime in on the glassware and the dishwasher bit and how much there's like a domino effect and how it affects service. You know, you try to save money not getting the crazy dishwasher and you have your 3-compartment sink and you're doing the rinse thing. And it's like, do you have the staffing for that? Did the bar back call out or do you not even work with the bar back? And now it's like, oh, I need glassware. I have no coops. I got to run over here. Now the ticket times are crazy. One ticket fell behind wherever and is gone because I shuffled over there trying to wash dishes. And now the guests aren't happy. They left or they're reconsidering how much they might tip. So it's like those little things that we do not consider make such a big impact. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'll talk more about it. The guest interaction, the hospitality is what we're all here for. We're making drinks, we're serving it up, but people will come back for that experience, even if the drink was mediocre, you know? So when you talk about these bar build outs and the little things that become forgettable, I guess, at times, we don't realize how big of an impact it has. Like even where to store that glassware. It's like we have a busy weekend and we have 20 coupes in-house and everybody, the girls came in and they want lemon drops and we just used half of them and we still have people coming in the door. So it's things to consider with that.
Hence the storage.
Yeah, the storage for sure.
So again, like I did mention this, go work in other people's bars, but do it when it's busy, right? Like a bad bar design, you can kind of scoot around just when it's quiet because it's not important then. The bad design is really prevalent and obvious when it's stress tested.
How do you plan for in-room flow for guests?
That you need to, well, so that one also you have to think about the space, your entries, your exits, where people are going to stand, if you want them to stand or not stand. That one you have to look at the space individually, and that one's a little bit harder to like specifically point out in a seminar because it's going to be space dependent, but you have to look for your pinch points and your bottlenecks and then design around that. Like you should, like for example, like dirty and clean dishes shouldn't be coming out right by the entrance, right? Because people are going to be standing there. So you have to look at the space you have and think about it from a guest perspective, from a bartender perspective, and from like a practical owner perspective. And then you have to take all of those perspectives into account, see where they don't align, and fix it.
I don't want to see the dirty dishes piling up and I'm sitting at the bar. Like, I look over and I'm just like, ew, why is that there? But yeah, all these things were super informative. I think we're flowing over to my segment.
Oh, perfect. I thought it was the
We're getting the,
I think also,
oh,
there you go.
please.
I think also like when you are a guest in a bar, pay attention in a different way. You know, like don't just look at how they're doing the drinks, look at how this team are moving and how they're moving around each other and with each other, and you will be able to start seeing exactly where the design has perhaps not been the best, and then you can turn that into a lesson for yourself.
Yeah. It should be a beautiful dance. I love to watch bartenders dance. I'm just like, ooh, everyone's in harmony. Speaking of harmony, my deck is very music inspired, so I want you to sing in your head. I'm not going to because my voice is like drifting away. But my segment is, I'm Erika. My segment is called Work Smarter, Not Harder, Prep Program Tips for Success. Ta-da, that's me. So I'm Erika Flowers, and yeah, we were talking about how our styles are and how is this gonna be, and I'm just like, I'm a yapper. This is casual conversation. I'm gonna speak from my experience. This is some of my experience. Right now, I'm claiming to be a Renaissance woman. You know, that's where I am in my career. The theme of Tales this year is evolve, and I'm certainly an example of evolution. I'm a bartender at heart. This is my fourth Tales, so in hindsight, I'm a lot younger than a lot of people probably in this room have been doing it for a million years. But I'm happy to have been recognized by Punch and the Spirit Awards for the past 2 years, being top 10. Creative entrepreneur, I have a pop-up called Taste of the Tropics, leans into rum education, but I work with other brands as well. But a lot of it is rooted in my Belizean heritage and just throwing a party, having a good time, teaching people about rum and things and serving up some tasty cocktails. I've had the opportunity to work with some folks and share my cocktails and consult. I work with Lush Life Productions. I'm their social media manager, so if you ever slip into the DMs, that's me chatting it up with you. And an educator, I went through an amazing program called Turning Tables here in New Orleans. I urge you all to look it up. That's where I got my start, learning how to bartend, getting that foundational education with them, and serving as a mentor and educator in the cohorts to follow. But let's chat. We're batching like a boss. But you can predict the weather, and I got the receipts. Are all things we are going through today. We got Andre 3000 and Khalees. I really should have made a music playlist to go along with it, but like I said, sing in your head and you'll know, the references. Yeah, you know what sells, right? These are the things that we need to prep. We need to combine our spirits. We need to make our syrups. And if we have juice blends, combine them. I spent a moment at Latitude 29, and as you know, those cocktails have a million touches. It's like, as much as you can combine, do it. Because you want to get those tickets out, you want to get the drinks out, and just be smart about it, obviously, you know? And we're not putting our citrus in our batch unless we absolutely have to, and we know that that's what's going to occur. A lot of what I'm talking about today should be common sense, but common sense isn't that common. And if you're like me, there's always something to learn. And you know, you could be a new bar, a new business, you could be a pop-up like what I have, and just being conscious of these things can save you so much money, save you so much time. And from the pop-up perspective, I won't have a shit ton of batch left over because what am I gonna do with this? The pop-up is over. Am I donating it to friends? We're having a party tomorrow, I guess. But yeah, why do you have to make things so complicated? Is it in, oh wait, let me look here because now the words are getting tiny. But yeah, is it in season? Okay, craft your menu with ingredients that are gonna be accessible and work efficiently across the board. I know you wanna make this really cool syrup that's only for this one cocktail and nothing else. Cool, but you know, how much of it are you gonna have forever after because no one's buying that cocktail that you made so complicated, you know? So it's like starting off with that base level syrup, maybe like a honey syrup, have that on hand, and a small portion of it is what you do to infuse your lavender in, if that's in another cocktail. But it's always, and I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, what's in your menu cocktail can it also be used in a classic? Starting off with that during your prep, whether you have a separate day for prep or you're doing it like right before a shift and your bartenders get there early enough to do so, keep that in mind. Like if you got a call for something, you want to be able to just make that. I had a strawberry pink peppercorn syrup, and you know, peppercorn is a tree nut. People are allergic. Might have found out the hard way with that one. But starting off with a strawberry syrup, having some of that set aside just so you can make that for the person who has that nut allergy, or just if you want to zhuzh up that margarita or whatever you're making, you have that. Maybe they don't want that peppercorn complexity, you know? And yeah, so spread the love and waste not. It's easier to add than subtract. What are you trashing? Adding to your infusions after the fact. You started off with your base syrup. Maybe you want to experiment and turn that into something else because you have an event and they want a punch or they want a classic cocktail. Zhuzh up what you have already. Let's let this flow because this syrup is about to expire. It's been sitting here because you thought it would be the hottest thing on the block, you know? And what are you trashing? I've worked in restaurant bars, so that's how I utilize sustainability in the programs that I've worked in. What are they getting rid of? What peels? I love a good avocado pit orgeat. You know, if you're in a space where they're constantly making guacamole or ceviche with the avocado or whatever else, find something to do with that. And you know, the girlies on TikTok or wherever have gotten really creative with like dyeing things like fabrics with stuff. So it's like so many ways. And these are the things to keep in mind when you're entering competitions as well. Because people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, what did you do? And I'm like, keep it simple, but include something that's really cool. Like, oh, and by the way, when I was done with this, I went home and like dyed my bed sheets with this, you know? So that's that. How do I get to the, oh, we're getting ahead, sorry. This lady over here. The proof is in the numbers. Let's go back to where I am so I could see better. But yeah, tracking and including your prep labor in your cocktail costs is super important because it gives you a full picture of what each drink actually costs to make, not just the ingredients. And it's kind of like a duh, but people don't really think about that. I've worked in programs where it's like, every cocktail on the menu will just cost $16 because that's what it is. And oh, this one takes a little bit less time, it's 15. But you know, to know these numbers and how much you're actually bringing in is important for you when you move on to your next spot, is important for your leadership. So you can like give the rundown. I saved you this much money. I've made this. Since we've implemented this new situation, we're doing big things. So it's kind of like, keep those receipts so you can show how you've improved this and why you should get that raise or all of the things, you know, that will make life better. A drink might seem cheap on paper, but if it takes a lot of time to prep your syrups or garnishes, that labor can add up. You know, I have visited bars where it's like they'll have so many milk punches on the menu and it's like, great, we love the clarified milk punch, surprise, everyone's doing it. But how much time did that take? How much effort? And is it selling? You know, like it's just sitting there forever and it's like, great, we have it forever after, but like, is it taking up space on this menu for something that would move a lot faster otherwise? By figuring out, please.
Can I add to that? So for that one, just in terms of practicality, so in our, like I run 6 establishments, what we ended up doing was took all of our prep time, all of it, and we compare that and took all of our prep ingredients and separated them into 5 different categories of how much time they take, of intensity, of like difficulty. So like say a milk punch, not necessarily super difficult and it's very time consuming, but is it labor consuming? Not really, right? It's the product itself that takes time. But then you've got some other ingredients that take a lot of prep time. So we've separated it like that in order to actually figure out what that labor relationship is. And then we have like, it's the most annoying formula development that I've ever done in Excel in my entire life. But that allowed us to really, truly take into account labor in all of our actual prep so that we better understand where we were falling short.
Love it. Thank you for chiming in on that. It looks like we have something
Little suggestion.
tropical on the way. We have a delicious tequila mango soda. A little squeeze of lime in there, something to, you know, little hair of the dog. Some of y'all look like you need to wake up. That coffee and tonic was not enough, but it's okay. We're here. The day is young. But let's get into it. You might not know this reference, but look it up because you're in New Orleans. DJ Jubilee, get it ready, get it ready, get it. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready, and that's just life. You know, like whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, prepare yourself for it. Did I know that I would be up here with these powerhouses? No, but I am the queen of the yap. So I was ready to yap about what I know and just, yeah. Shut it up. It's a conversation, right? Time is shmoney, darlings. Let me zoom in. These words are getting tinier and tinier. Do I need glasses? Is this what? Cost
Are you
prep.
aging?
What? Cost prep labor accurately. Include the prep labor hours in your drink costing model. I talked about the milk punch, but you know, Kate made a point there. How intense is it? Are you just like letting things sit and go because then it's not so hands-on? What is the work that it takes to make it reflected in the price? If you want to make money, do that. Pay attention to the numbers. There's, you know, so many ways that we're losing money beyond the person that walked out because you forgot their order or whatever. It's like the day-to-day things that we're overlooking. The same thing with bar design. So many things that we're overlooking. When it's slow, prep some mo. Time is of the essence. Words are hard. Utilize it wisely. Clean, organize, prep. I mentioned it earlier. If you have a set day for prep, great. If you don't and your bartenders are getting there 2 hours early and they're using that 1 hour to get some syrups out the way, or you got it on the burner in the middle of service, you're organizing things, they don't need 2 of you. Here you could you could hold it down in the service well and tend to the 1-2 guests that you have over here, get ahead. There's been so many times where I go to bars and like I see people just like twiddling on their phone in the corner and I'm just like, oh, there's people you could be talking to. I'm sure there's something you could do. But that's just my brain of like, look like you're doing something, like not only for, oh, I'm yapping 3 minutes. Look like you're doing something not only because, you know, management is watching you, but it's like you can make your life easier or make your coworkers' life easier for the next shift, or you're working tomorrow. Do all the stuff that you need to do. I am the queen of whatever we can close before it's time to close, let's get it done. Let's clean. I'm a clean worker. Why are your tools everywhere and you're over here, you know, tweeting? We don't tweet. I don't know. Do people? Sorry. Whoa. Can't talk about that. Are you Xing? Are you threading? But yeah, there's always something to do.
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Everyone can't be you, but they should know what to do. Can things get done when you are not in the building? I travel a bunch, And everyone needs to know how to make these recipes. You cannot be the hero and be like, I'll get it done. I'll just batch a bunch. Great. Well, surprise, your drink was very popular this weekend and now there's no more and you didn't write down that recipe, or the recipe has the wrong measurements and like all of these things. Get prepared. Is your team set up for success? Come on, I'm a survivor. I can do it without Erika in the building. So, create SOPs for all the prep items. Make sure you're including the yields so they know to batch up because all the Swifties are coming in town for the Taylor Swift cons. Look, they were lovely, by the way. Taylor Swift, love her fans, super sweet. But when you put the sparkly drink on that menu, batch up, put the citrus in, just do it completely because when they're all here, it's
and make sure it's your most cost-efficient cocktail ever.
Use the vodka.
Make that money.
Yes, with consistency, making sure your team is trained. I say legacy, but I really mean integrity. My syrup should not be this color, and when you make it, it's this color. Something went wrong. Let's figure it out. What is missing from here? Same thing with the drinks. When a guest comes in and has an amazing experience and they're raving about this cocktail that they got 3 rounds of, when they bring back their friends to spend even more money with you, it's like you want that same experience. They want to taste that same drink. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, so-and-so thought it was a bit sweet, so they dialed back on the syrup, and now it's like, this is not how I met it, So keeping that thing in mind. Be par for the course with par sheets. We love that. So your recipe should be clear and concise with yield notes so anyone can prep accordingly. Inventory versus the bar. You have your liquor room inventory sheet, but you also have your weekly sheet where you're doing your orders. I'm gone for the weekend. Hey, someone fill out this bar inventory sheet so I know what to order. I'll get it ordered and done and blase. Keep them separate, keep them flexible. Communication is key. Make sure anyone can edit them or have some printouts behind the bar as well. Snap a pic. Some people are not tech savvy, so have every single way to make everyone, don't tell me your phone died or you don't know how to use whatever documents I sent you. It's printed out and under the register. Let's go. Keep it short and simple. Your documents should be understood and editable by all.
Can I just jump in and add
Yeah,
one
please.
thing about prep? Fuck, I love prep. My God. When you write your prep recipes, I can't stress this enough, do everything by weight. It feels like it's obvious, but do it by weight. I'm not American, I don't live in America, but the metric system is fantastic. Grams are much easier to work with. Get a scale, and for smaller things, get a gold scale. They're like $7 on Amazon, but have a digital scale, have a gold scale, and do absolutely everything by weight to the gram. You cannot fuck it up if you follow the recipe that way. And consistency, again, is so important. The other thing to consider as well is with seasonality, if you're using ingredients, so we don't have seasons where I live, Singapore doesn't have seasons. We have a lot of produce coming in from all over the world. So today strawberries could be from the UK, tomorrow strawberries could be from Spain, and they do not taste the same. So we have to be really smart in what we use. Products like Boiron, so Boiron do fruit purees, they acid and bricks balance every single one. So it's going to be 100% consistent all of the time. Consider things like that as well.
Yeah. And it's also knowing your team and your staff. We can, put our nose up at people who are using the pre-prepared syrups and everything, but it's these are green bartenders, high volume, whatever. They're using Monin, and that's fine. But guess what? In my bar, we are smashing those mangoes and making our own things and figuring it out that way. So
I sometimes use Monin.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You
That's
know?
not I love them. Where's my
And
Boiron?
Boiron. I do.
Yeah.
I swear by Boiron. Sorry, Boiron.
Yeah. Waddle.
Sorry, it's the French in me.
In conclusion, I'm wrapping this up here. We need a good prep program to be great. Practice makes perfect, but actually perfect practice makes perfect. I guess I edited that after the fact. I don't know. It's on here, but not there. Perfect practice makes perfect. You could practice something the wrong way and you just developed a bad habit. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm so blessed to have an amazing network of, bar professionals that I could reach out to continue to learn, remain a student of life. And money can make sense in all the ways, in your brain and the dollar signs in your pockets. But yeah, thank you. Oh, not all the things showed up on this one, but thank you for coming to my prep talk. Always a student, forever evolving. And that's where you could find me on Instagram and send me an email, and we could chat after this as well. We're going to pass it over to Kate. Yeah, this was lovely. I'm glad my part is over.
Erika.
I think I can speak for all of us when I say after this, like, please do find us on Instagram and follow us. If you have any
yeah.
questions, like, in the future, like, about your bar design or about your prep, I'm always happy to answer questions and give you feedback and advice if you have something practical that you need me to look at.
Ooh, great. We're dialing it back a little. We're gonna go into the really fun nitty gritty of the financial world, and not actually that nitty gritty. I know that like this was supposed to be a bit more of a kind of like gloss through everything, hence the approach us for anything after. So my name is Kate Boushel. I live in Montreal, as was said before. I run 6 venues, 6 or outlets, as some people say. 3 bars, 3 restaurants. One of them's on 50 Best North America. 2 of them are on Canada's Best. One of them's a dive cocktail bar with a ton of taps. So yeah, like very different styles. And obviously 3 restaurant ones. No one needs to know about the rest. You can read it. There you go. Okay, cool. So we're talking about, so in every single business, and our businesses are not actually that different from any other business in the world, right? Like at the end of the day, there are 5 phases to building a successful business or a bar and restaurant. So we've got concept development and planning. And so that one, I would say, I'm going to try and run through this. So we've got our goal of concept and planning is to define the identity and viability of your business, right? So you want to develop your concept, your theme, what kind of cuisine, what style. Are you aiming for like a 50 best tailored experience? In which case, you're not necessarily going to want to do everything in certain ways that was like previously discussed. And you're going to be able to spend more on labor on certain aspects because you're going to be charging far more, so you need to really plan out what your concept is going to be. Your brand story is going to be really, really important as well, because that's what's going to help you develop a sense of ownership from your team if they align with that as well. It's going to also drive your hiring practices. So many things about that. Like once you know exactly what the goals and objectives of your specific business are going to be, you want to definitely don't bypass market research and competitive analysis. The really fun thing, like I'm not a huge fan of AI necessarily. I do always think about the amount of water and resources that it uses for every prompt. But if you're going to use it and are really intentional, once again, intentionality, with every single prompt and you build it out to be one massive, thick prompt, you can help do all of your market analysis through there as well. And because, I mean, we're all bar professionals, and by no means are we all necessarily business professionals. And you did not necessarily go to business school. Like I have a master's, it's great, PR management. I have some business in that sense, but the rest is all real world, right? So business plan, financial projections, the annoying shit. Then you want to do design and build out. So that's where like what Celia was saying, design and build out are going to be so incredibly important as well, because based on your previous one where you've thought about your concept, then you're going to really need to like put in that work. The reason why I said like what are the worst things that you've ever had to fix is exactly that. I don't know about every city, but I do know that in 75% of the bars and restaurants in Montreal, I'm going to give this one example. There's this one architect firm, and he is the bane of my existence. I've never seen the worst fucking walls. Narrow ass chairs that barely anyone can sit in and are uncomfortable. Low rise tables that make it really annoying to serve. All of those things cost time and extra money because your people aren't working efficiently. They're hurting themselves. You're not able to pump out as many cocktails. Like so many of those things. So when I was saying earlier, like, think about it. I know it's not fast decision making, but if you put yourself in the shoes of what it means long term for every decision, I'm not saying wait around 6 months and don't make a decision, but like Sometimes fast decision making on those core things is actually going to cost you so much more in the end. It's not cool to have to rebuild a bar station after 2 years, and it's extremely costly because you have to either shut down or find ways to do small changes that aren't going to be as efficient anyways if you don't want to close down. So many of those things, right? Like pre-opening preparation, you got to plan for your hiring, plan for your training, build out your menu. What time does that represent? That's labor cost, and you haven't even opened yet, right? Launch in early operations. What does that mean? How you're gonna have to calibrate a soft open is something, right? Your launch strategy, what does that look like? You have to figure out before opening your monitor guest experience. What kind of metrics do you want to use? And someone asked me yesterday how do you calculate, or what do you measure? How do you measure success? And it was for one specific if thing was happy hours. Well, what is success to you? Not everyone looks at success the same way. We're going to talk about average profit in our industry varies typically between 8 and 15%, right? So for bars specifically, and for bars that are higher end, typically we're able to reach sometimes 20%. Though you have to be a really fucking efficient bar to reach that. That's barely, that's sometimes pipe dream for a lot. But I was saying that because at the end of the day, you might be someone who's really happy with 8% because you pay your staff well, you're investing in certain things, and your goal at the end of the day is not to be the richest person on the planet either, right? You're doing it because you love this industry or whatever. If you're really profit-minded and driven and you don't really care about the rest, then obviously you're gonna scrap a lot of certain aspects. Now, I hope you're the latter, right? I don't want you to be the former. But that's because I think that most of us live with that kind of that push about caring for people. And then finally, you have growth and optimization, which obviously is just about maintaining and finding ways of being more efficient, building, where can you shave off of there. Now, most of the biggest issues with your build outs and everything is that people struggle early on, right? So we underestimate the true cost of opening, which then puts a damper on the rest while we're trying to make money in the first months in order to finally break even. And that is a really important point. Your break even is typically about, I'd say now, depending if you have a costly build out, but it can be about 18 months, right? You have to have planned for all of that. And so people do really poor planning oftentimes. So much things that were overlooked, how I want to know, what is the worst overarching, you planned for 6 months for build out and then it ended up being, what's the worst? With delays?
Delays?
Yeah. 2 years.
2 years.
Okay, cool.
Not my project, not
No.
my property.
No.
Just for future reference.
Yeah.
But 2 years.
I've seen 1 full year plus 100% over budget. Don't plan for 100% over budget necessarily, but I've seen some crap. And
On that note, actually, before you build a bar, know where you're going to build it and what the city's restrictions and limitations are, what permits you're going to need,
Exactly.
and get your licenses sorted way earlier than you think. So when I built one of my bars in Singapore, sorry to interrupt.
no, it's fine. I'll switch to this slide now, and then we can start with there. Yeah.
The government had a moratorium on the neighborhood that they wouldn't allow more liquor licenses. So we had to petition the government to prove that we weren't going to be another high volume, piss pouring bar, getting just people trashed with beer towers. We were actually trying to elevate the neighborhood. So we had to petition them for 9 months to be able to even be allowed to apply for a liquor license. And we had to pack that into our planning, our budget, We were very lucky that the landlord was cool and actually was willing to keep the space for us without us having to pay rent, but know exactly like what the city is
Yep.
going to demand of you.
I mean, I've seen people input POS systems and not know about government changes coming in the pipeline, and then they end up with a POS system that's not adapted for their government regulations. Like, I mean, I know we don't want to talk politics in life in our industry, but you know what? You better be following what your government is doing to impact our industry, right? And that takes time. It's intentional. It's annoying, but have a check with that. What does your your licensing, work with a lawyer on that one definitely helps. So that's one thing that a lot of people underestimate in terms your working capital, 3 to 6 months. 6 being your optimal, right? Always plan for more. And the reason why I say this, people underplan for all of these things because they don't want to scare off investors. But at the end of the day, you're doing yourself and your investors a disservice, right? Because you're not going to be able to show that money as early on as you promised, and you're not going to be able to give back to, if you're doing profit sharing with your staff, you're not and just everyone's losing in that in the end for that. So 3 to 6 months, definitely super important. And the most important, contingency fund. That one I cannot stress enough. That's what helps you for your over budget. You had to change contractors. You broke that dishwasher that you bought instead of renting. That you went for a cold draft machine, but you don't have a single person who's able to tend to a cold draft machine in your city. And then, or you put it in and then you have to demolish it to take it out, so you can't even resell it. So many things that I can think of. But yeah, I say 10 to 20% buffer. Nowadays, it's definitely more around 20. Cost of living has gone up a lot.
When you say 10 to 20%, is that of revenue or of investment capital, or 10 or 20% of which?
Overruns, it's your investment capital. Yeah, your capital budgeting. And yeah, so this one is
Sorry, we have a term, we call it fat in the system.
yeah. I like
So
that one.
when you build out your
I went
forecasting and your budget, put way more fat in the system than you can even imagine thinking that you need. So we opened in Singapore 42 days before we had to shut for COVID. That was a motherfucker.
Bar Mordecai in Toronto, same thing.
Yeah, so put so much fat in your system. It's way better to have more money than you need than have less money than you need, or no money when you need it most.
Yeah.
Plan for the worst, and then you'll be okay. But you also have to have a certain level of adaptability and resilience. This industry and opening a bar, building a bar, designing a bar is not for the faint of heart.
Nope.
You need to be able to roll with the punches and just kind of go with it. But yeah, to add to the point, fat in your system, way more than you think you need.
Exactly. And that is really cool because when you think about it, even just wage increases, right? They happen fairly regularly. And that allows for that that spring that you're going to need in order to actually make that happen and then adapt and then revisit what your prices are. You have to revisit what your I don't know about everywhere. We have a government monopoly for booze, and they increase the price of booze every now and again. So we have to kind of go with that and figure that one out. So you have to revisit your pricing also a lot. And then final takeaways. And then the one thing that I will quickly touch on, because we still have 6 minutes. I mean, but obviously questions. The one thing that I'm going to say is, I know that we're in the U.S. We are 2 international people, 1 local. I know that wages vary by state and around the world. That being said, some of the most successful bars in the world run as well in places that minimum wage is actually really interesting, beautiful, and allows a livable wage, right? And then we have places that we know have very, very small minimum wages and don't allow for that. So I want to leave this for you to think about. If 50 best bars are able to exist in places where they pay well, they have health insurance and a bunch of beautiful benefits, why can't yours? And I'm leaving us on that.
Smashed it.
And they're very profitable.
Thank you. Amazing.
All right, so we just want to send a heartfelt thank you to our friends at Michter's Whiskey, Altamira Vodka, El Bandito Tequila, and our fabulous mixer, Thomas Henry, for donating a little bit of product for your hair of the dog this morning.
And a super thanks to our panelists. A big round of applause for them. I feel inspired to open a bar, but not really. A huge thanks to Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, the Education Committee, and of course our amazing CAPS, wherever you are, for handing out those delicious drinks and providing us the opportunity to have such an amazing panel today. So please do check out our website, the Adelkomen Project, if you're looking to add some more diverse talent, thank you. So what's the word? Talent to your next activation. If you want to get in touch with us, if you would like today's presentation, please do drop us an email at hello@theadelkomenproject.com, and we can definitely send that across to you. And please do follow Kate, Celia, and Erika, respectively. They are the talent and total powerhouses that will be able to help navigate you opening your bar. So thank you so much, everyone. We have one tradition when we do these things, and naturally I left my phone there. We always take a selfie with the audience when we do our presentations. So can you entertain my ridiculousness for a second? Okay. So we can get you all in. Okay, I'm gonna try. Ready? Okay, Kristine? Okay, smile, everyone. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much.